They say there's always a moment you remember, the second your life takes a turn. For me, it happened on a Thursday evening, right after dinner. Olivia was standing at the sink, rinsing dishes, when she said it, as casually as if she were asking if we had milk. "I'm thinking about taking a solo trip." I set my glass down. "Alone?" "Not exactly. Maddie and ISA are coming too, but this is something I need for myself." She didn't glance up, just kept scrubbing at a pan. Maddie and ISA were both freshly single, both deep into that post-breakup phase, the kind fueled by late-night wine and endless self-help podcasts. I knew exactly what kind of self-discovery trip they were planning. "What are you hoping to find out there that you can't find here?" I asked. She dried her hands and finally faced me. "I've never really done anything just for me, Richard. I went straight from my parents' house into this life with you. I need some space to remember who I am." We had been married for 4 years, bought our house the summer before. I thought we were steady, not flashy, not wild, but dependable, solid. "It's not about partying," she added quickly, seeing the doubt on my face. "It's not like that. I need to think." I nodded slowly. "So you need to find yourself before what? Before kids? Before you're too tied down to bar hop across Europe with Maddie and her yoga instructor?" "That's not fair," she said. "Which part? The trip? Or the fact that you're deciding all of this without me?" She let out a heavy breath. "I knew you'd react like this. That's why I almost didn't tell you until after I'd booked the tickets." And that's when it clicked. This wasn't a conversation. It was a courtesy notice. She wasn't asking for permission. She was giving me a warning before she went ahead anyway. She left the next weekend. I didn't stop her. But that night, I made a quiet choice of my own, one she wouldn't see coming. I drove her to the airport that morning. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want to hand her an excuse to call me bitter or childish. She looked like she was heading out to brunch, not crossing an ocean. Linen blazer, oversized sunglasses, a sleek, expensive suitcase. "You okay?" she asked when we pulled up to the terminal. "I'm fine," I said, turning off the engine. "You have your passport?" She nodded, then hesitated. "You're awfully quiet." I turned to her. "You're going off on vacation with 2 women who treat relationships like gym memberships, easily picked up, easily dropped, and you're wondering why I'm not chatty." She frowned. "This is exactly why I needed a break. You twist everything. Not every trip is about cheating." "No," I agreed, "but trips like this tend to leave doors open that shouldn't be." She rolled her eyes and got out of the car. I followed to grab her luggage. She kissed me on the cheek, a quick, distant gesture, like I was someone she barely knew. "I'll text when I land," she said. "You don't have to." Her smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means go ahead and do what you've already decided to do. Just don't pretend you're doing it for us." She didn't reply, just turned and walked inside. I watched her disappear through the sliding glass doors. Then I pulled away, without once looking back. That afternoon, I got to work. I didn't touch her money. That's not the man I am. But I moved my own paycheck to a new account. I canceled the full getaway we'd planned and had the refund go onto my card. Switched the billing on anything that had both our names, utilities, insurance, streaming subscriptions. Small moves, sure, but meaningful ones. We weren't splitting up. Not yet. But I wasn't going to keep playing the part of a husband whose wife still respected him. She wanted space? Fine. I would stay right here, paying attention. By the 4th day, she posted her first picture, a cafe table, a wine glass, the caption, "Lost in Lisbon, finding peace." Lisbon hadn't even been on the original itinerary. Next came snapshots from Seville, Milan, Nice. They were clearly improvising, hopping from city to city like college kids on a budget. Every photo was curated. Plates of tapas, golden sunset by the sea, sandy beaches, Olivia in flowing dresses and sunglasses, laughing with Maddie, gazing pensively at some sculpture or another. But then there was one photo that made me pause. A group shot, the 3 of them, plus 3 guys I didn't recognize. One of them had his arm around Olivia's waist. No tags, no explanations, just a caption. New friends, old souls. I stared at that picture for a long time. Then I opened a folder on my desktop and started saving screenshots. Paranoid? Maybe. Prepared? Definitely. Either way, I was finished giving the benefit of the doubt. I didn't comment. Didn't like any of her posts. Didn't even text her. She reached out once that week. Hey, hope everything's good back home. Just got to Barcelona. It's beautiful here. I left it on read. The very next day, Maddie posted a video from a beach club. There was Olivia, barefoot, drink in hand, dancing under the sun. That same guy from the earlier photo was right beside her, shirtless, leaning in close, whispering something in her ear. She didn't pull away. I watched it twice. Saved it. 2. Still said nothing. 3 weeks later, Olivia walked through the front door like it was just another lazy Sunday. She dropped her bags in the hallway, stretched, and smiled. God, it's good to be home. You would not believe the train situation in Italy. I leaned back against the kitchen counter, arms crossed as she stepped hesitantly into the room. You moved some things around, she said, giving a small, nervous smile. She came closer, aiming for a kiss, but I turned just enough that she caught my cheek instead of my mouth. Her face fell a little. Are you mad? She asked. I shrugged. You're home. That's what matters, right? She gave a shaky laugh. Okay, I know how everything must have looked, but it wasn't like that. We just needed a break. From everything. I kept my arms folded. Looks like you found some new company while you were at it. She hesitated. You saw the photos. I saw enough, I said. Richard, come on. You know how it goes. Sometimes you end up in pictures with people you just meet. It doesn't mean anything. You weren't wearing your ring, I said. She winced. It felt safer that way. Being obvious about being married. I just didn't want to invite trouble. I didn't say a word. She crossed her suitcase, fishing through it before holding up a small trinket, a silver keychain shaped like a Vespa. Thought you'd like this, she said, voice hopeful. Rome was always your dream trip, remember? I took it, set it gently on the counter, and pulled open the drawer behind me. From it, I handed her a plain white envelope. She opened it slowly. Inside were the papers, confirmation that our finances were being split, documentation showing I was buying out her half of the house, and a card for the moving service schedule for the weekend. She stared at me, blinking hard. You're kicking me out, she said, voice cracking. You asked for space, I replied evenly. Now you'll have it. Tears welled up in her eyes. Over one trip. I took a sip from my coffee, slow and measured. Over one choice. A choice you made without me. She sat down heavily on the edge of the couch, looking like she didn't recognize the life she was stepping back into. It wasn't supposed to be permanent. Richard, she whispered. I just needed time. Time for what? I asked. To play tours through Europe? To pretend you were 20 again? She flinched at that. You're blowing this out of proportion, she said, desperate now. You're not even letting me explain. You had a month, I said quietly. A month of sunsets, cocktails, and pretty captions. Not once did you explain then. I didn't cheat, she insisted. Did you get close? Her silence answered for her. You think just because you didn't cross some bright red line that nothing broke, I said. But the second you left, you chose something else over us. Don't act surprised now. She wiped her face quickly, swallowing down whatever she wanted to say. So that's it, she whispered. You're just done. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I walked to the hallway closet, pulled out the small duffel I'd packed with her essentials, and set it by her feet. You've got friends, I said simply. Stay with Maddie or Isla. You'll be fine. She rose slowly, her voice fragile. I can't believe this is happening. I looked her in the eye. I warned you. You chose your path. I'm just finally choosing mine. There wasn't a screaming match. No slamming doors. Just a heavy silence of two people who knew something real had died. By the end of that week, she was gone. Maddie showed up in a tiny car to help haul the rest of Olivia's things. She barely met my gaze, just muttered a stiff hello and disappeared into the bedroom. Olivia moved like a stranger, careful not to linger too long in any one room, pulling photos off walls, clearing out drawers, leaving half-used shampoo in the bathroom, like she couldn't quite bring herself to erase it all. At one point, she paused in the doorway where I sat working at the dining table. "This doesn't feel real," she said. I didn't even look up. "It is. I thought we could fix this when I got back." "You should have thought about fixing it before you bought the tickets without me," I said. "That weekend, my brother Aaron showed up with his pickup truck. No questions, no judgment, just helping hand to pack the last of her things into storage. After he left, I poured a whiskey, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders, and sat out on the balcony. The house was quiet now, but it wasn't hollow. It was mine. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't heartbroken. I was free. She had crossed continents looking for herself. I stayed put and finally found me. 2 weeks went by without a word. Then a strange number flashed on my phone. I let it ring out. After that, emails. "Can we talk?" Just once. I ignored them all. One afternoon, I glanced out the window and saw her standing at the curb, arms folded, looking unsure. "I've been trying to reach you," she said when I stepped outside. "I know," I said, locking the door behind me. "You moved on that fast?" she asked, disbelief coloring her voice. "I started moving the moment you said you needed space," I said. She looked stunned, like she hadn't expected that much honesty. "I made a mistake," she whispered. I met her gaze squarely. "No, you made a choice. You just don't like the consequences. I thought we were stronger than this." "No, Olivia," I said. "I was strong. You were uncertain. There's a difference." Her face crumpled a little at that. "You don't mean that," she said, voice cracking. "I mean every word." She pulled something from her purse, a small velvet box. Inside was her wedding ring. "I kept it," she said. "I didn't take it off." I glanced at it. That ring traveled farther than our marriage ever did. She didn't know how to answer that. I walked past her toward my car. "Is this really the end?" she called after me. I turned for one last look. "You wanted freedom. You have it." Then I drove away without looking back. It's been 5 months now. The house is sold. We divided what needed dividing. No court dates, no fights. Just clean breaks. I move into a smaller place closer to work. 1 bedroom. No clutter. No ghosts. I started running again. Signed up for a photography class on Thursday nights. Funny how pieces of yourself start falling back into place when you stop bleeding for someone who wouldn't have done the same for you. Friends still ask if I'd ever consider talking to her again. She's in therapy, they say. Maybe she's changed. Maybe, but I don't need to know. That's the gift of letting go. I heard she's dating again. Nothing serious, from what I gather. One day, she sent one last text, a picture of that Vespa keychain, resting in her palm. No caption, no explanation. I deleted it without a second thought. She'll never know I kept mine, not for her, but as a reminder. Real love isn't about second chances or drama or desperate salvaging. It's about who stays steady when everything else gets hard. Who stays even when the world says they don't have to. She went chasing freedom around the world. I found it right here. I'm dating again. Slowly, carefully. I don't look for the explosions anymore. I look for the ones who stay when no one's watching.